Welcome, fans, to a live and historic edition of the Cheap Heat Productions Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling, and we are here today for a potential debate for the ages. And what I mean by that is, will Booker T answer the challenge of this man, Hall of Famer in waiting, Ahmed Johnson, the first Black Intercontinental Champion, and a man who has some information to depart to the public about some of the comments of Booker T. But before we get to Ahmed, I must introduce Mr. Cheap Heat, Maurice.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm not going to hold the spotlight too long, but we're going to start off on a positive note tonight anyway, Tony. And I just seen today you were officially announced for WrestleCon, something that the fans would be really excited for. So do you want to tell people about WrestleCon this year in Philly?
Yeah, WrestleCon, this is my first WrestleCon I've been to in Philly. I just left Philly a few months ago, and they booked me out there again. So they must have liked it with as the words of Mark Henry, my 3 fans that came out. They must have liked me. So they booked me back again. And that's another thing I want to get on subject about is Mark Henry.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Floor is yours.
Well, if he keep coming up with these lies, man, lie after lie after lie. Now, he don't want me to tell a story about him in Germany trying to get with a 15-year-old. Now, he don't want that told, I bet you. And I have, she's not 15 anymore, been texting me, and I have her phone number and everything. And she can tell you the story herself about Mark Henry. But, he's just McGilla gorilla. I don't know. You like a gorilla to me. If you put a picture of a silverback gorilla next to Mark Henry picture, they look just alike. He's a big, lazy gorilla. The only thing he's famous for is kissing a 90-year-old lady. That's the only thing people know him for.
And fathering a hand.
What's her name, the lady?
Mae Young.
Mae Young, yeah.
Yeah, Mae Young. And that's what he's known for. Clown and stuff, always clowning. You can't name one show that I clowned on, or where they asked me to lower myself and clown. But here he is, trying to date 15-year-olds and doing what he do, and he didn't learn. You keep my name out your mouth, I'll keep your name out my mouth. You shut up, no, I'll shut up. But if you come at me, brother, you can believe I'm gonna strike back.
What's Mark Henry's beef with you, Ahmed? I haven't seen that.
You what now?
What's Mark Henry's beef with you at the moment?
I have no idea. Like I said, when I left, if you guys noticed, when I left, the nation just dissolved. It disappeared. There was no more good nation matches. There was nothing that Vince could do with the nation, so he, broke them up. And I think that's what he's mad about me about is when I left, that they dissolved. Fruit went his way, which did a good job with A&P. Tama went his way, Deal went his way, and the McGilla gorilla went his way. So, I don't have any idea what he's upset with me about.
Well, it seems to be in terms of people taking shots at you that it can come from left field. And just to recap the situation with Booker T up until his podcast comments recently, he had indicated that he was aware that you had some concerns with how he has been referring to you. He was aware that you challenged him to a physical altercation, and he was aware that you had challenged him to this debate in this forum, which, for the record, his people are aware of this debate exercise and have the information to join, but we'll see if he chooses to accept or not. But in his last podcast appearance, he said basically that he would not be engaging in physical combat with you, but if you saw each other, it would be on. He would not, charge you with anything or go to a lawyer or whatnot. He did say that he had nothing to debate you about, given the breadth and scope of his career. And he also mentioned that, contrary to what you have said, that in fact you were the one that created the animosity with him, and he ended up by making some other derogatory comments about yourself that I don't need to repeat. So just to give you an opportunity to respond to those, sir.
Well, first of all, I think he's mad about a comment I said, and they took it totally out of content what I said. I never said I was trying to sandbagging. I was talking about me being there overweight, could barely breathe. You know what I'm saying? Could barely be on the spot. That was my fault as far as our match went, because I was there, man. I was so out of shape, man. I couldn't even breathe. I'm telling you, it was hard to breathe. So, I mean, I did the best I could do at that time. But, it was my fault. And I'll take that mistake. But the comments he made, now that's something else. Now you're on a different ball game. And, he made them comments and talk trash about me, whatever. And I don't see how he thinks he can talk trash about anybody. Anybody. While I was receiving the most distinguished undergraduate trophy at my basic training camp, he was in prison. And all the things I've done compared to what he's done, it doesn't even match up. It doesn't even match up. Yeah, he went to WWF, WCW, won tag team belts. WWF won a couple of belts. But we all know that's for real wrestling, But I've accomplished a lot more in life than he has.
I can tell you for a fact that the next time, and I can go on the record and saying this, and I'm sure that you guys are going to be under the same roof at WrestleCon and may end up crossing paths there.
It may be. And like you said, he ain't gonna, I don't know what he said about he's not gonna run or whatever he said. I never asked you to run. As long as you keep my name out your mouth, I'll keep my name out your mouth, my mouth. But you want, talk shit or you want to get it on? Let's get it on.
Yeah.
Let's just
And
get it on.
The invite remains open. But obviously, Ahmed, when this thing was going on the last couple of weeks with you and Booker, it kind of got into the wrestling news, as I'm sure you've seen, and people were weighing in on their opinions. And I just seen about an hour ago before the show started, I sent this to Jack, and Dutch Mantel weighed in on the situation on his podcast.
Yeah.
And he said that Vince McMahon back in the WWF asked him to train you and help you in the ring. And then he also went on to say that if this was a real fight, Booker would kick the shit out of Ahmed, but I wish you well. Any response to that?
Oh man! First of all, I don't remember Dutch Mantel coming to me asking me anything about training. Vince never told me that he had me wanted him to train me. If I would have wanted anybody to train me, it probably would have been Al Snow. But outside of Al Snow, there was nobody that I would want to train me, and especially not Dutch Mantel. So I don't know where he got off with his comments at. But if I ever see him, we're gonna have a talk too. We will have a talk if I ever see him, because I don't know how he got involved in this. Booker T
Well,
sweep the floor with me, please. Booker T could sweep the floor with me if I gave him a broom.
well, when you add the comments of Mark Henry into the mix as well, it seems to me to be extraordinarily, mean spirited and unfortunate. Given the fact that there's been a lot of time in between when you worked together, and it's something that is equally, I guess, disappointing that at least with respect to Booker, and I understand he has his reasons or whatnot from his own perspective, that he wouldn't take advantage of an opportunity to clear the air, and it
Right.
makes you wonder why um, two legendary figures would be involved in something like this when one is doing all the sniping and not at least trying to in a non-adversarial way solve whatever, squash the beef.
Right. And it's just like I said, if he took them comments and totally took them out of content, what I was saying, I should have explained myself. I was saying I was overweight. We all know that. I was overweight. I mean, I couldn't breathe. I had no business in the ring, man. No business in the ring with somebody like Booker T anyway. Because, I mean, he's, very athletic, very driven. And I had no business being in the ring with him. But now you're talking about in the streets, a street fight. I don't think there'd be no spin the roonies in a street fight. And now that's a totally different ball game, the streets from the ring. And his brother will tell him that I'm used to the streets. I'm used to getting down in the streets. So, whatever you think about that, so be it.
So if he's not going to show today, he said that he won't meet you to engage in combat. He's declined to participate today in this. What would notwithstanding the fact that you could very well likely be under the same roof at some time, in which he said there would be no legal ramifications, it would be on. But what would you say to Booker if this is going to just continue to be out there?
Well, it's going to continue being a problem. We're going to have to talk about it if he wants to talk about it. But if not, like I said, as long as he keep my name out his mouth, I'll keep his name out my mouth. It's no big deal to me. One way or the other. We can either go street with it, or we can go like two gentlemen with it.
Exactly. Maurice?
Yeah, one thing I always wanted to ask you, Ahmed, and we kind of got lost in translation the last few shows with all this stuff going on with Booker, etc. But how much would it mean to you to have your acknowledgements represented in the WWE Hall of Fame someday?
You know what? It would be okay, but when you got people like Donald Trump and comedians and all of them in the Hall of Fame, really, what kind of Hall of Fame is it? It should just be for wrestlers and wrestlers only. But I don't know what kind of Hall of Fame it would be, and even some of the writers should be in there. Like, I don't know if you guys know Bill Abner.
Yeah.
So Bill Abner should, be in. He's done a lot for the business, and if it wasn't for the magazines and the other people who write about it, then we would be nothing.
Yeah, excellent point. In terms of recent news as well, you probably read or saw that Rock returned to WWE and had a little bit of a deal with Jinder Mahal, and is supposedly going to be in the mix for WrestleMania again. I'm assuming that's true, and I know that you worked with him as well in the Nation setup in the WWF. Just wanted to know your memories of that, and whether you saw the potential that he would be probably one of the top box office draws in Hollywood.
No, but he needs to be on his knees thanking God, because I never seen it coming. And but I can't take nothing from him. The dude's a hell of a performer, a hell of a performer. And I mean, in the ring, out the ring, even his acting is good. But there's nothing I can take away from The Rock. I mean, The Rock, is Rock. But the people's champion, the people's belt came from me first. When I won the Intercontinental belt, first thing I said was, I'm the people's champion. And you can go back on tapes and look at it. And then he started saying he was the people's champion. No hatred there whatsoever. Just that I started that, and then he filled in with it.
Another thing from your career, Ahmed, I was looking at earlier was the Q8 Cup. Now, we kind of focused on the outside the ring stuff last time from it. But then when I was looking back through the records, and you had a hell of a run over there, beating guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Triple H, Owen Hart. What memories do you have inside the ring from that tournament? And I just seen earlier where you beat Stone Cold Steve Austin with the spine buster in a very aggressive match.
How the memories I have of him?
Yeah.
With Triple H, when I was in the ring with him, I was really, really green. He was like one of my first matches. And he guided me through the match. He called the match, he guided me through it. And, I'll never take that from him. But, then I got to team up with the Warrior and Shawn Michaels. Well, would have been the Warrior, but, he left and Sid stepped in. But it was a pretty good run, man. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the run. I enjoyed wrestling with him. I enjoyed wrestling Triple H, because he was calling stuff in the ring like a ring general, and he was on point with everything he called. But yeah, I mean, it was great.
Do you have any memories of working with Steve Austin then? Because you guys had a few matches and one of them was in as a reference Q8. Do you have any memories of Steve?
Yeah, in Kuwait we had a match. It was funny more than anything. Steve does some really funny stuff in the ring that'll make you laugh if you know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And we had a great match in Kuwait. Now that time we were supposed to wrestle in the WWF when he gave me the Stone Cold Stunner, and I was supposed to have a match with him. I don't know why that dissolved, but that didn't happen. I wish it would have, because it would have been a good show.
One of the perennial controversial characters involved, on the periphery of wrestling today, but whom you had professional interactions with, was Jim Cornette and his Camp Cornette stable. And I know you often team with Shawn Michaels against his charges. What were those experiences like for you? And did you have a relationship per se with Cornette?
No, I didn't have any relationship with Cornette, because I had heard about him even before I got there. I got the word out on him, and he's just not somebody I want to be acquainted with at all. At all. And I don't know what his problem is, because we never interacted with each other.
Yeah, I think sorry, Jack, I think he's referenced you before in a negative light on his podcast as well.
Yeah.
Something I think I heard. It could have been a few years ago now, but I heard it maybe a couple of weeks back.
Yeah, I don't know what his problem is, because we never interacted at all. The only time I seen Cornette was when we had that match with Yoko, Bulldog, and Owen. Outside of that, I never spoke a word to him.
Yeah.
What was it like with that team with Shawn Michaels in terms of your chemistry with him?
It was a good match. We had good chemistry going, man. It was a real good match. It was me, him, and Sid. But the Warrior was supposed to be there, and I prayed that Warrior was going to be there. But he couldn't come to an agreement with the money situation. So he left. and then they bring Sid in. But Sid's a good fill-in. Sid is over big time. Sid Vicious has always been a cool guy with me, man. Always been down to earth, and I got nothing negative to say about Sid Vicious.
One of the things I seen recently, Tony, was the promo that you done with Sonny backstage. I think you shared it on your personal social medias there a couple of weeks back. What do you think of the way everything ended up for her? Like, obviously, she's in jail now and she went on a bad path. What was your kind of experience like with her? And are you surprised that she went that low?
Well, like I said on the interview, my mom always told me to take trash out, don't bring it in. And Sonny, she ended up just like I thought she was going to end up, man. I thought she was going to end up with AIDS or something because, a guy sleeping around with. I thought she was going to catch HIV. But, 17 years, I was going to think that's enough. When you killed her, how old was the guy she killed?
72,
80s, I think.
Mid 70s, I think. Yeah.
Man, dude had lived life that long. He was somebody's father. He was somebody's grandfather. He was somebody's brother and somebody's husband. And you took that all away from him because you want to drink and drive, which isn't the first time that she's been cited for drinking and driving. And you take that and you kill somebody. In 17 years, I don't see that being enough. Because with good behavior, it should probably be out in half that time.
Looking early into your career, you which I have some questions about. You worked a lot or sometime in Texas, in that territory, and had some matches in the Sportatorium that can ask you about. Did you happen to catch the Von Erich movie, The Iron Claw, that has done so well in the box office? And if you did, your thoughts on that, but more generally, your experience working in Texas, right in the shadow of that Von Erich dynasty in the 80s.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm definitely going to go see it. But I met David Von Erich. I think his name is Dave Von Erich. I met him, and he was a good guy, man. He was really a good guy. And it's just tragic the way everything happened, man. It's like they had a curse over them or something,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what they've said. In terms of the Sportatorium itself, we've heard a lot about the state of the building at the time. Were they drawing at the time that you were there for Global, or was it in somewhat of a state of disarray?
Yeah, they was drawing for Global. I mean, they was packing the house out. When I was there for Global, but nobody would take care of the building, man. They just let it just lapidate and just go to waste like they did, man. And that I hate when they got rid of it, sold it, man, because that was the hallmark for everybody. That's somebody in wrestling. If you somebody in wrestling, you came to the Sportatorium.
Yes, sir. Were you under the impression that Joe Pedicino had a big backer and the company was going to be a huge deal, and then when it didn't go that way, there was a lot of disappointed people? Did you hear that at the time, that he had major funding?
Yeah, I heard that he had got a big backer behind him, and I guess that wasn't true. But he was telling everybody how he had this big backer behind him and everything was going good, and they were going to fix up the locker room and fix up the Sportatorium, and none of that ever happened.
So we are 25 minutes away from the end of the show, and there's no sign of Mr. Huffman, as Ahmed refers to him as. So we'll continue on with the questions as normal. Tony, one man I never got to ask you about, Lex Luger. What was he like inside and outside the ring? I know you worked in WCW together.
On who?
Lex Luger.
I never really got to talk to Lex, man. We talked one time about our slam in Yokozuna, And Yokozuna only weighed 500 something pounds when Luger did it. When I did it, he weighed 700. And, we talked about that a little bit, but outside of that, I really didn't communicate with Lex. I mean, he seems to be a good guy. I don't know anything bad about it.
Jack?
We have a fan question here from a super fan. Can you talk about the rib when Davey did the stink bomb live on Raw?
Oh, okay, Davey or Owen. I don't know which one of them clowns did it, but they always ribbed me, man. And I had what was going to be my fiance parents up in the press box, watching the matches. And so I go back to the locker room after my match, getting dressed, and all of a sudden I smell something like dog dookie. And I'm like, where'd that smell coming from? And they started laughing, and then come to find out, Yoko told me that they put a stink bomb in my suitcase. And so I had to go up there and meet them smelling like dog poop. And I don't know what they thought about me and what they think about me today, but I never asked them, but I don't know what they think about me now. I hope they don't think that was me smelling like that.
Did you ever get ribbed by either of them other than that, or were privy to any?
Man, they ribbed me a lot, and Bret Hart told me, he said, "Oh man, don't get upset if they're ribbing you." He said, "Because Owen and Davey only rib the people they like. If they don't like you, they won't mess with you. They won't rib you at all. But if they like you, they start running ribs on you." And one time, I think I told the story before, when we had WrestleMania in California, and I'm sitting in my room, my phone rings, I answer my phone, and it's David Letterman show. So I'm all happy, man, talking to Dave and answering all these questions. I'll tell them how long I've been in the business, so on and so forth. And he said, "Well, we'd like to have you on the show tomorrow night." And I was like, "Man, this is unbelievable. David Leno show." So I went out and brought me a new suit, brought me some new shoes, some jewelry. I was looking good, man. And I'm standing outside, and the limo was supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. I'm looking at my watch, and it's 8 o'clock, and then Owen and Davey comes out. And they start talking about, "Where you going? Looking like that." I said, "I got a Dave Letterman show tonight." And they said, "You got Jay Leno tonight?" I said, "Yeah, I got Jay Leno tonight." And they said, "Well, your limousine supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, wasn't it?" And I was like, "Yeah, I was supposed to be at 8 o'clock." And I was like, "Wait a minute, how did you know my limo was coming at 8 o'clock?" And when I said that, they just bust out laughing, man. Brett came out, and he was laughing, filming the Butchers. They got me good, man. Good. I had called everybody that I know and told them to look at Jay Leno's show tonight. And it was them that called my room. I was acting like Jay Leno. It was embarrassing, man.
That's awesome.
That's timeless.
Yeah,
Ahmed, do you have any? Do you have any memories of Mick Foley? I know he was there in the late 90s when you were in the WWF as well.
Not really. I mean, I didn't, once again, it's one guy that I didn't really associate with Mick Foley. I mean, no apparent reason. I just never, found the time or we were never in a situation where, we just sit down and have a talk. So
was there anyone, like, I know you're not wrestling anymore, but you're looking back on your career, was there anyone that you wish you did get in the ring with but never got a chance to?
I would have liked to get in the ring with Goldberg because, he had that somewhat intensity, not a deep mind, but he had somewhat of intense. Goldberg, even now, I got in the ring with Brock Lesnar. I would love to have a match with Brock Lesnar. I think that would have been a hell of a match. Probably wasn't a shoot match, but it'd been a hell of a match. And see it. I would have liked to wrestle see it. Me and Sid never tied up, and I don't know why. I think that would have been a good big man match. But we never got to, get in the ring and get it on. So Sid's another one.
Old school fans asked about this one, and it's kind of a deep cut, but you won the USWA title from Jerry Lawler in the Mid South Coliseum
Yeah,
in about '95. What was that like for you, given the history not only of Lawler but the oodles of wrestling history in that Mid South Coliseum?
man, that was great, man. Winning the belt from Lawler and doing Lawler had me slam him 10 times in a row.
Wow.
He got up, slam me, boom, got up again, slam me, boom, 10 times in a row until, he couldn't get up no more. And then, I pinned him and it was a very good match, man. And it was an honor to be in the ring with, one of the ring generals. It was an honor.
What
And I
happened
keep
with
forgetting about that. When I talk about my belts, I keep forgetting about the Memphis belt.
yeah, it's a big deal. What happened with that situation? Were you going to have a long run, or how was that laid out for you?
For at Memphis,
Yeah, for the USWA, yeah, the title.
no, it was I don't think it was meant to be a long run. It was something that Vince wanted me to do to go get more training, I believe, down in
Mhm.
Memphis. So that's why he sent me down there. And I had no idea that I was going to fight Lawler for the belt until I got there. And then I didn't
Wow.
know I was going to win the belt. And he did a great honor in putting my name up in that Memphis belt history book.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Yeah, my good friend there, Niall, he runs the Upper Tier podcast on YouTube, has a question there, and he says, "Do you have any good Road Warrior stories?"
No, Road Warrior, man, when I was there, um, is it Road Warrior or Ultimate Warrior? What are you talking about?
Hawk and Animal.
Hawk and Animal.
Oh, Hawk and Animal. Hawk was my man. That was my man. And we went out to eat together. We rode together. We went to matches together. He would have matches he would book, and he didn't want to take Animal, so he took me as a tag team partner on a bunch of matches. And I just enjoyed him, man. I enjoyed Hawk. Animal wasn't as sociable as Hawk was. Hawk, you give him a beer and give him something to drink, and he'll tell you his life story. So yeah, Hawk, I enjoyed Hawk, man.
Got another fan question, coincidentally enough. Uh, the aforementioned comments from Dutch Mantelli, he sort of in a roundabout way talked about this, but why did your Double J Jeff Jarrett feud, I guess he's saying come short, but got cut short?
I really don't know. I really don't know. I mean, like I said, even with Jeff Jarrett, I was green, new to the business, and Jeff Jarrett was one of the first guys I got to wrestle. And I don't know, if he appreciated me being so green. And I don't know if he went and told Vince something or what. I don't know what situation was. But Jeff Jarrett was a hell of a performer. And I was just learning. While I was there, man, I was just soaking up as much as I could.
Another fan question there was, any memories of working against Terry Funk in WCW? I believe you guys worked a match there together, the late Terry Funk.
Yeah, I got to wrestle. One of my first matches was against Terry and Dory Funk. And brother, they lay it in there. They lay it in there. Their punches were on the money. Their chops were on the money. And when they laid it in there, they laid it in. These are two guys that can really brawl in the streets if they had to.
Mm. Another sort of legendary figure that you had an opportunity to work with early. Sorry, not sort of a legendary figure that you had an opportunity to work with early in the WWF. Your respective tenures was Glenn Jacobs Kane, who was the dentist at the time, Isaac Yankum. Do you have any recollections of that? Because talk about a good big man encounter.
Yeah, Kane was Kane. I yanked him at the time, but he was very light, man, on his feet. He was a good guy to work with because he was light on his feet. His punches, you didn't feel anything. Clotheslines, you didn't feel anything. I mean, he was a great worker, man. Kane was a super good worker. And I wrestled him when he was I yanked him, and I wrestled him again when he was Kane. So on Kane, he got to just choke slam me. And that was about as far as the match went, you know.
What do you think? And I know this is kind of off topic, but on topic. I was watching President or ex-President Donald Trump on stage yesterday endorsing Kane, and then he ended up talking about The Undertaker. Is that a bit wild or what?
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I didn't know that, man. But you know, he was in there.
Kane is the mayor of Knoxville now. He's
Yeah.
a big Trump supporter, and he was
Oh,
doing some
is he?
speech, and then Trump was giving his props to Mayor Jacobs, otherwise known as Kane.
Well, you know, Trump knows that Kane and Undertaker had a bunch of fans. So Trump was going to jump on that bandwagon with him to try to get their fans to vote for him. You know, but no, I didn't see that show. I wish I would have.
I'll send it to you later.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those bizarro world moments, to quote Jerry Lawler, where wrestling and reality intersect, and it's definitely something to see. But I wanted to ask you about your program in '95 against in the NWA in Texas against Bradshaw, who would become JBL. And
Right.
if you have any thoughts on that, because renowned for his hard hitting snug style, as were you.
Brother, we got in there, and I didn't know he was going to shoot during the match. But it was, if you ever get that tape, watch it, man, because this one hell of a shoot match. I mean, he came in with that clothesline Larry he does, and he hit me hard. And so I shot him back a rope, and I gave him a kick that should have took his head off, but didn't. But we did it with respect. You know what I'm saying? I mean, after the match, we were still boys. We were back there laughing at each other, and he's definitely a shooter, brother. Mm-hmm. He's definitely a hard hitter.
Mm-hmm. Who was the hardest hitters, Ahmed, when you look back at your time in the wrestling business? Like, I know you like to work with hard hitters, so who were some of those guys that like to give a bit and you could give back to them?
Who was the hard hitters?
Yeah.
Vader. Without any doubt. Vader, man. When I got in there with Vader, he came in the locker room during a match, before our match started. He came in the locker room, he said, "Hey, brother." He said, "You know I love you." He said, "But I'm going to hit you, so hit me back." And I thought he was just joking. I'm like, he's not going to hit me hard, Please. Them little Vader things he do in the corner when he gets in the corner and hit you his forearms. Man, I thought he was going to knock me out. So we had a good shoot match. And once again, it was one of them matches where we go to the back and we respect each other. In fact, we rode together that night and stayed at the same hotel that night. And Vader was a shooter, man, if you've ever seen one. The only thing I didn't like about Vader was when them young guys come in, the jobbers, he would shoot on them. And, these kids are trying to make it, man. They're just young kids trying to get in the business. And I don't think that was right to shoot on them like that.
He caused a lot of injuries, I think, to guys that we've talked to and friends of guys that we've talked to on this show. So that's unfortunate. Did you ever feel that someone ever came to try and deliberately injure you during a match before?
Farouk did.
Was that when the rib injury?
Yeah. And he finally admitted on podcast that he was jealous of me. He said it. He said I was jealous of him He said, I've been in the business for 12, 14 years, and here this kid just comes in the business after 1 year, and he becomes the first African American champion in history with the Intercontinental belt. And then, after we had that match, and then I gave him some payback. I gave him his receipt during the street brawl with me and the Road Warriors. I took him and slammed him through the table hard, and it fractured his ribs. But it was, you got to give them a receipt. If they hit you hard, you got to give them a receipt. Otherwise, the rest of the boys are going to think you're a punk.
And are you guys on good terms now then, all these years later?
Well, yeah, Farouk is I mean, he has some stuff to say, but Farouk is, I've always liked Farouk. I still like him. After we got over that hump, of him kicking my kidney like that and rushing my kidney, after that, we became real good friends.
One, speaking of legendary figures that you teamed with early in your career, about 94, was the Junkyard Dog. And I'm just wondering if you have any memories of that and what advice, if any, he gave you, given all the success that he had in the business.
Junkyard Dog, and I tagged up a few times at these house shows. And his best advice to me was, and I didn't heed it, I didn't take notice of it. He said, big man, he said, let me tell you something. He said, quit diving over the ropes and quit doing all that, high flying stuff. He said, because I'm telling you right now, in 10 years, your back's going to be messed up, your knees going to be messed up. And he was right. But at the time, I was a young buck, so I'm saying, what this old man know about, me? He don't know nothing about me. Just because you got hurt, I mean, I'm gonna get hurt. And he was on the money with it, man. Now, I hate when he passed away.
We have another fan question here from Levi asking your thoughts on Abdullah the Butcher trying to keep other black wrestlers out of Japan, or other African Americans trying to keep other black wrestlers out of the territories.
I know a little bit about that. I don't know. I didn't know Abdullah Butcher was doing that, but it's sad, man. Because like I said, it's like crabs in a barrel. As soon as you get up, they pull you back down. So, I mean, I don't know about Abdullah Butcher. I don't even know Abdullah Butcher. I know him from TV, but personally, I never met him. And if he was doing that, man, that's sad. But he's correct in the other black wrestlers not wanting you to be on top. He is correct about that.
Why do you think that is? Just aside from all the jealousy that, given how hot you were in the WWF, do you have any thoughts on why that would be a phenomenon?
It's like you said, it comes down to jealousy. It comes down to them wanting to be number one. You know what I'm saying? Like when I got to WWF, I believe I was the only black guy there when I first got there. And it was kind of weird, being the only black guy in that business at the time. And it's sad. And I welcome, other black wrestlers to come. Like, I brought a bunch of jobbers in for WWF. A bunch of my friends, I brought them in as jobbers, and they got to perform. They just didn't perform to Vince's liking. But I did bring them up and bring them in there so they can get a look at, and get a shot. But that is very, very true. Extremely true.
We've got about 5 minutes left on the show, and obviously, as you can see on the screen there, Booger T isn't showing up. He's scared. So I'm guessing that we're going to kind of close the book on this Booker stuff for now, Ahmed. Obviously, unless he starts talking, as you said again. So, in summary, then, just to kind of summarize everything that's went on over the last 6 weeks or so, any final thoughts?
Yeah, that I tell you what, if we would have been having a match in WWF, we would have made a lot of money because, I mean, so many people was hitting us up about this. I got so many hits about you and Booker T, you and Booker T. Other professional wrestlers weighing in, you and Booker T, you and Booker T. You know, and it would have made a lot of money. It would have made us a lot of money. But, you know, like I said, as long as he got nothing to say about me, I got nothing to say about him.
Well, I think, Ahmed, that you should be commended for speaking out in your own defense and speaking your truth. A lot of people have commented that it can be somewhat of a one-sided discourse because Booker has had the WWE machine behind him for
Yes.
how many years. You've been doing your own thing away from the business, and yet when you were disrespected, you courageously stepped up and utilized this forum to say your piece, and for that I think you have a victory, a moral and ethical victory, and it's just unfortunate that Booker didn't take advantage of the opportunity to set the record straight and squash this because life is short. But again, I think this is a W in the column for yourself.
Yeah, I wish he'd have came on and debated too. But if he debated, he's probably gonna want to do it on his podcast. But I wish he would have came on and debated. But
we can organize that.
He did what he done. Had to say, and I done and said what I had to say. And from there, man, it just goes on. Life goes on, brother.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned his podcast, his co-host actually said on that show that he would be happy to moderate that conversation. Isn't that what he said, Jack? So that was kind of alluding to you going on their podcast, which we can try make happen if that's something they want to do. We'll see. But for the moment, we'll close the Booker T, so to speak.
Yeah, if I did that though, I would want one of you guys that are narrating it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not just his people narrating it, because they can make you look bad. But I want to bring my own people in to ask me questions and then to do things, and ask him questions and do things.
It's funny you said that, Ahmed. That's exactly what Maurice and I said when that comment was made by his co-host, that would be not exactly an equal situation. So once again, if they're listening or find this later, we would be happy to work with Booker T and his team to arrange a moderated debate, but it would be in equitable fashion. And once again, despite, I think another area that you need some props for is the fact that you haven't sunk to the level of the name calling and vitriol and hyperbole that
No.
Booker has. So that shows you take the high road and you're a class act. So if there ever is an opportunity for a moderated, non-adversarial debate, we'll most definitely do our part to assist in that happening.
Right. And I want to, and I'm proud of this too, because he really hasn't got involved. I guess he, I used to be his best friend and Booker's his brother, so he kind of stayed out of it. And I kind of, applaud him for that. Every man for himself, basically. And people don't know the connection me and Stevie had. I mean, we done gotten so many fights together, man, with people, and we came out the winning side every time. And
I've had Stevie on the show as well. He's a gentleman.
Huh?
I've had Stevie on my show, and he's a gentleman.
Yeah. He that's Stevie Ray, man. He let it's gonna be, and he just lives life day by day, So you have to give him his props, man.
Yeah.
Well, fans, I think we're going to end this broadcast. Unfortunately, it wasn't the debate for all time or a legendary debate, but again, major kudos to Ahmed for his actions here, and we will leave the door open potentially in the future for something else. But want to thank you, Ahmed, for your time and your generosity in terms of coming on and discussing your career with us on a couple of occasions. We very much appreciate it, and we'll stay in touch with you, of course.
Hey, and I appreciate you guys, man, for narrating this and trying to get to the bottom of it, because most podcast guys don't. You guys and Monty, I really appreciate you guys trying to get to the bottom of it. And like I said, I think it was because I told somebody to ask that I would sandbagging Booker or whatever, but they took it totally wrong. Sandbagging means I'm putting the blame on me, because I was one not in shape. I was the one that couldn't breathe, and I was the one that couldn't remember what we called in the ring. I mean, it was my fault.
Before we go, let's plug that WrestleCon again and let the folks know where they can keep up with you online.
Okay, WrestleCon. What date is WrestleCon?
It's the first weekend of April, Saturday and Sunday. I'll get the exact dates now, but it's in Philly, Saturday and Sunday. I'll just get the exact. You carry on, and Tony, and I'll get it.
Okay. Well, make sure you come out WrestleCon. Ahmed Johnson and Psycho Sid and Kurt Angle. We'll all be at the table together. So come out there and check us out and get your autograph signed and have a good time.
April 6th and 7th.
Okay. April 6th and 7th.
Philadelphia.
So come out there and have
WrestleMania
a good time.
weekend.
Uh-huh.
WrestleMania weekend. There'll be 100,000 fans around.
Well, come out. I would love to meet you guys, man. You that I've met, that I've been nothing but a gentleman. Even the promoters that promote the events that I go for, they always call me back because they said they can't believe how much of a gentleman I am, because they believe in the bull crap that was said over the internet. Oh, I mean, it's mean. He's this, he's that. That was for the business. I'm not like that in real life. But some people can't separate real life from the business. And but come on out and meet me. You'll see for yourself.
So fans, we're going to wrap up this special edition of the Cheap Heat Productions Wrestling Podcast. We want to once again thank Ahmed Johnson for his time. Check him out. If you're anywhere near the area, I know I'm considering a trip down to WrestleCon to meet the man, and we will keep you updated as to any further developments as they arise. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button and also notifications so that you don't miss any of the great content Cheap Heat has for you in 2024. For Maurice, I'm Jack Kilby. Take care, everybody.
Have a nice day.